right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube or you are watching over here on the Zoom. Excited to have you join us. And today we're going to be jumping into another AMA. Part of our AMA series is part of HackFS, where we are doing some quick interviews with founders, entrepreneurs, VCs, accelerators, just kind of give you a sense of what the journey ahead looks like as part of building a project for the first time or for the nth time. So yeah, really excited to have Asta, who's joining us today. She's co-founder and CTO at Privy, who I think a lot of people have probably heard of over the last few years, especially. So yeah, welcome her up onto the stage. And yeah, excited to kind of walk through a little bit more about her journey, experience kind of building in the space. And yeah, of course, at the end, we'll open this up for questions. So it's meant to be collaborative as well. So if you have any questions as we go through, feel free to drop them in the chat, or at the end, if you want to come up on stage and ask them directly, feel free to do so. So yeah, we'll welcome Asta up onto the stage.
Hi there, it's great to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Awesome. Well, I think kind of a great place to start, nice and easy. Would just kind of love to hear a little bit more about, how you even got into the space to begin with. So would love to kind of hear a little bit about that journey and how you kind of ended up joining the community.
Yeah, so my background is actually in large scale data infrastructure and machine learning for robotics and self-driving cars. So this is a little bit further from home, but it actually comes from a shared root in excitement about technology and infrastructure and the transformation that you can have working on developer tooling, which is, in my opinion, like the most massive leverage thing that you can do. Developers themselves, like we are already, by writing code, doing work that's super high leverage, and to get to empower developers to build even more of the vision that they're trying to create, it basically sounds like the most exciting thing that I could be doing. So that's a lot of the kind of shared background. But I got into Web3 coming from a place of being really excited to work on privacy and digital identity. I think Web3 Web3 has the incentive alignment around really returning control back to users in a way that has created change that is different than I think outside of Web3, where that change comes from more of a compliance point of view. And I was really eager to be a part of what I'm seeing in Web3, which is that we are reshaping the relationship that people have with the apps they use online.
Cool, very cool. When you were sort of exploring that and learning more about digital ownership or digital identity, like were there any kind of like media or books or content or people that like stood out to you as like part of that journey, that early journey?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I was paying attention to, but actually one of the things that I found really exciting was, so my co-founder Henry, before I even met him, I read his like 5-part article series on his work and research into privacy and digital identity. And I found his thinking to be so extremely aligned with the way that I view the world, and also really, really insightful. And it's a big reason why we're working together, because of that alignment and because of our shared care for our work in digital identity. And so that was definitely something that influenced me a lot. Yeah, I think that the other part of it is that in Web3, we get to be on the ground floor of shaping the narrative and what is possible. And so in some ways, there isn't previously trodden ground here. And that's also really cool.
Very cool. And I think, just because I have to bring Protocol Labs, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I think he had just left or something like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So, maybe it'd be worth jumping in a little bit. You sort of becoming more and more interested personally about the space. How did you sort of get started with Privy? And, I guess you met Henry along the way and maybe reached out to him through that. And but yeah, like what was that kind of early journey like? What were some of the kind of early days?
Yeah, so Henry and I were introduced by a mutual friend, and I was not focused on Web3 at the time. I was thinking about sort of the problems around privacy online and digital identity, more broadly speaking. And Henry and I were talking about a lot of the things that that a lot of the vision that we had for how the internet should work and what it looks like when users
Mhm.
take control. Apparent that there's the version of working on privacy that looks like uh, um, essentially like building compliance software or dealing a lot with regulation. There's the version of it that we found in Web3, which was being driven by a huge number of very excited, fast-moving builders who cared about returning control to users. Also, because that was like, and users owning their assets and data and having full control is also a part of what makes Web3 successful. So I think that's what caused us to building for Web3. I think another part of it is, I see like Web3 being a place that drives people to uh, um, experience, internet should look like. But I also
Mhm.
see that it's a place where the user experience is like pretty awful, and or at least it
Sure.
was pretty awful. And it was a place where it was really hard to people are telling you to download this like sort of sketchy Fox extension on your browser and then
Yep.
memorize 12 words where if you forget, no one can ever help you, and you're stuck forever. And then you hear stories of people digging around in landfills for their slip of paper. And like that's not a user experience that I think makes sense for my mom or most of the people who use products. So a lot of it was like I see a huge potential for change here, but in conjunction with um, getting people to enable new and different onboarding experiences. And so this is where I think are